On our landing at Cedar Lane Apartments sits a wooden table with a visitor notebook and a bell that prefers 2 rings. Names appear there for guests none of us saw. One morning, I found my own name, in pencil, hosting someone I never invited. Entry 1, Monday, early spring. The notebook opens by itself. I was taking recycling down when the notebook lay open to a clean page. The heading said visitors in patient handwriting. Beneath it, 3 lines weighted like chairs. Eleanor Price, visited 3B, no bell, left a scarf. Michael Carter, asked if rain could be quieter. Anna Whitmore, returned a book by stairlight. I am 3B. I had been home. I heard no bell, and yet the bell felt freshly wrong. Eleanor's scarf was not mine, but the line warmed the hallway like a small electric kindness. The pencil smudged where a finger had considered a word and chosen another. The landing smelled like paper and weather trying to cooperate. Entry 2, Tuesday, after rain. David explains what buildings know. Superintendent David Blackwood tightened a hinge on 2 while I showed him the page. He nodded like a hinge that knows its job. It came with the building, he said of the notebook. We listed packages and plumbers. Helpful against amnesia. These names appeared without a witness, I said. Helpful anyway, he said. Some rooms can write. He taped a small note beside the bell, not a gavel. Ring twice, then wait. He underlined wait, like a person repairing the street's posture. Entry 3, Wednesday, near dawn. Willowbrook's chalk learns our names. Willowbrook Café opens when a voice orders tea without sugar. Tom Aldridge wiped the counter in circles and listened while I spoke about the notebook. Lists are rituals on paper, he said. We keep ours in chalk. He poured tea that tasted like a room, deciding to be civil. On my napkin he wrote, visitors, ring twice. Leave something better than you take. Return when ready. Then he crossed out visitors and wrote neighbors. Less theater, he said. When I returned, the notebook had added a line in lean pencil. Tom Aldridge delivered steam to the stair. No cup, only comfort. Steam does not sign, and yet the line looked true. Entry 4, Thursday, late. Anna's index of arrivals. At the library, Anna Whitmore keeps a ledger titled Reading Room Visitors. Author names appear when someone quotes them aloud. We count influence, not shoes, she said. Otherwise the room thinks it is just furniture. She underlined left a scarf on my page with a fingertip and said, gifts register themselves. It saves speeches. Back home, the notebook held a correction. Eleanor Price, retrieved scarf, left courtesy. Pencil makes manners real by asking us to push gently. Entry 5, Friday, after the tram. Watching names arrive. I sat on the landing with an apple and a promise not to supervise. The building breathed. Elevator cables sang the note chairs prefer. The page accepted a new line no hand had earned in public. Samuel Reed, borrowed light from 3B, returned it brighter. I looked at my window. The curtain had learned a kinder fold. Perhaps Samuel paused in the hall and practiced gratitude. The notebook recorded what we host without chairs. I wrote accepted in small letters by the line. The pencil thanked me by not breaking. Entry 6, Saturday, market day. A few rules appear by example. By noon 6 more entries colored the page lightly. David Blackwood, tightened hinge on 2, declined applause. Marina Holloway, paused near the window, left a receipt unprinted. Celia Hart, placed flowers by the stair, claimed no credit. Peter Clark, read notices, put them back straighter. Lucy Bennett, sat, then offered her seat to Worry. Quiet, visited briefly, asked for fewer announcements. Quiet written as a guest made my chest relax. Someone had drawn a tiny chalk dot on the doorframe at the level of hopeful hands. The bell agreed with 2 notes that refused drama. Entry 7, Sunday, after midnight. The inversion. I believe the notebook listed bodies. The Sunday page corrected me gently. When I returned from the night pharmacy with tea, a single line waited. Me, earlier, knocked internally, was hosted by silence. The pencil had my handwriting's posture. I rang the bell twice and sat as if silence had offered me a chair. The notebook does not track entrances alone. It records attention and the way rooms host their people without receipts. Entry 8, Monday, early, a test with a folding chair. I placed a folding chair by the table and taped a note. For anyone who forgot how to stand. I went down to talk to the mail slots like a person practicing small citizenship. When I returned, The chair sat a fraction left. Possession without ownership. The page read, absence of Mrs. Ellis. Rested at the chair, left a breath. Later Mrs. Ellis thanked me for the idea of a chair. She did not sit. Her knees behaved better anyway. The landing approved by not creaking at thunder. Entry 9, Tuesday, near dusk. The bell's band. A paper band hugged the bell like a patient bracelet, not a gavel. David had taped it there after a morning of doors shouting. The bell resumed consent work. 2 notes, never 3. The notebook added, courier, rang twice, waited until echo finished. The line made me loyal to strangers. At Willowbrook, Tom wrote on the board, visitors welcome, ring twice, list your kindness under your breath. The chalk smiled and did not smudge. Entry 10, Wednesday, late, a second list inside the first. Anna loaned me a slim ledger titled Lists We Keep So Rooms Can Breathe. Inside, categories I had needed without naming. People we forgave without speeches. Times we sat before deciding. Conversations that improved at lower volume. Names we learned and used once, correctly. Rules we returned when they began to audition. I started a back page in our book. Visitors we did not see but welcomed anyway. The first line wrote itself. Weather, passed through the window, obeyed the second ring. Entry 11, Thursday, after the tram, notes from counters. Marina at the night pharmacy slid a card beneath the book. Receipts can print, pause, even on Thursday. She drew a chair. The book copied the small chair as if charmed by pencil. We collected names that sounded like a neighborhood getting posture right. Tram driver, lifted the ramp before being asked. Child, drew a dragon near quiet, labeled it temporary. Stranger with wet shoes, left them at the mat, warmed feet in patience. Apology, arrived on time, no decorations. I stopped ranking lines in my head. Orders of appearance are not orders of worth. Entry 12, Friday, early, a name from another season. The page included a visitor from a year that had been trying to repair itself. Evelyn Hart, borrowed your umbrella once. This is her thank you. I do not know Evelyn. I remember lending an umbrella to a private face. Perhaps gratitude completes names. I took the book to Willowbrook. Tom slid a napkin under the page as if it were delicate. Some lists are bridges, he said. They let thank you travel from a season that had no time. Entry 13, Saturday, after market. Drafting the lines the building missed. David asked me to help with neatness. He handed me a pencil that smelled like a desk at peace. I wrote what I saw and what the landing seemed to see. Peter Clark returned a package to the correct door. Lucy Bennett hummed near the mailboxes, shared pitch with stairs. Unnamed kindness moved the shoe mat into usefulness. Door hinge chose not to audition for tragedy. David grinned. Mechanical empathy, he said, pleased with the phrase that oils entire cities. Entry 14, Sunday, before dawn, adding my own name. I took tea without sugar to the landing and wrote a line I had avoided. Narrator, posted regret for a moderate length. Returned 2 sentences to quiet. The bell performed non-ringing. The page looked like a broom. Simple, serviceable, loyal. Tom called it dignity. Anna called it citizenship. Marina called it dosage. David called it a maintenance report for a soul with a lease. Entry 15, early summer. Soft closing, a method. The notebook continues to write names when no hand is near, and allows my hand when the building prefers delegation. Many days it logs breaths, small repairs, cups set down without thumping. If your name appears, do not panic. It means your day visited ours without demanding a parade. Ring twice. Wait. Write gently. Closing. A visitor notebook, honestly kept, is not surveillance. It is hospitality on paper. It remembers who we hosted, including pauses, absences, and the attention that costs less than speeches and buys more than apologies. Tag. A list can be a chair. Addenda, field notes from the visitor notebook. The bell and its notes. 1 for arrival, 1 for consent. Not 3. 3 sounds like a verdict trying to be art. 2 is enough for buildings with decent knees. The pencil and its moods. Graphite writes firmer when the hall smells like rain. It writes lightly when the window stays polite. It refuses names spoken like a gavel. It accepts initials when shyness is a guest. Erasures do not humiliate it. Dust is a kind archive. How names choose themselves. Some appear when a hand touches the banister as if greeting a colleague. Some appear when a person leaves the air better than they found it. Some wait a season, then sit at the bottom of a page until a forgiving light discovers them. Ledger excerpts, anonymized. Held the door for a stroller and learned that wait is a teacher. Returned a notice to the board. The pins felt respected. Waited an extra breath for the elevator. Learned that breath is shorter than pride. Sang in the stairwell softly. Echo agreed to a treaty. Placed a flower on the table. The table did not blush. Manual. How to read a name. 1. Assume goodwill unless the dash says otherwise. 2. Treat the note after the dash as a verb you can copy. 3. Do not circle your own name. Relief masquerades as vanity in circles. 4. Leave a line where you improve furniture. 5. If a name hurts by accident, fold the page gently and try again tomorrow. 6. If a name returns from another season, welcome it as if it had always belonged. 7. If you do not see your name, do the thing anyway. Lists adore surprises. Vignettes, small visits that changed posture. A stranger placed a tiny screw on the table. Found your door's patience. The door stopped scolding. A child drew a dragon near quiet and labeled it soft. The stair adopted fantasy with municipal calm. A traveler wrote, listening, and the bell accepted the resume. The post office stamp delivered late circled itself in our margin as a joke that felt like home. A neighbor wrote, do not move the chair someone placed for a reason, then did not move it. The reason arrived later with tired knees. A slightly sterner drawer, safe for bedtime. We keep a page titled Notes we may erase later. It hosts lines like, do not turn the notebook into a show, and do not shame someone for not being a list person. After a week we erase them. The bell has already said enough. Week 2, lessons from a writing stair. Monday, I tried to pre-write expected names. The pencil refused. It belongs to past tense that greets. It accepts, then records. Tuesday, I wrote in ink and the page looked perfumed. I apologized with the eraser. Wednesday, I added a column for time. The building erased it politely. Some rooms dislike clocks. Thursday, I wrote always. The margin coughed. I replaced it with often. The cough retired. Friday, a tourist asked if the list is public art. David said, it is public furniture. The tourist sat and drew a chair. Saturday, the page wrote, rain, arrived, sounded like sweeping. Weather had signed the book. Sunday, the notebook recorded, future self, visited for one breath, left a promise to try. I cried in a way that did not recruit the bell. Case notes. Names help better than rules. Case A, the hallway argument. 2 neighbors rehearsed a quarrel near the mailboxes. The book wrote small. David and Lucy paused, remembered that tomorrow exists. Volume lowered by grammar alone. Case B, the missing parcel. A package wandered. The book wrote, Peter counted boxes, found the one that wanted finding. We saved 5 calls and 1 accusation. Heroism declined the role and still succeeded. Case C, the nervous visitor. A person without an apartment here carried an apology without an address. The book wrote, visitor, asked permission, rang twice, waited. We found the right door together. The apology fit like a letter in a correct envelope. Practice list, 17 names I like to host. Patience, quiet. The person who practices the ramp twice. The person who returns pins to the board. The person who wipes the window with a sleeve. The person who does not narrate their kindness. The person who spells a name once and right. The person who stands aside for a stroller. The person who thinks of the stair when carrying boxes. The person who asks if the bell works before judging it. The person who replaces the pencil when it shrinks. The person who folds the page corner back down. The person who leaves a flower without a note. The person who erases chalk earlier than pride suggests. The person who returns a cup clean. The person who says good morning without auditioning for sainthood. The person who remembers step 17. Correspondence. Other counters write back. From Willowbrook, we keep a bowl of rule cards. Your notebook taught our bowl to say please. From the night pharmacy, we file receipts under pauses, assorted. Your names helped our font relax. From the hotel, the elevator now lists itself. Door, waited for stroller, learned a new pitch. Your landing may be contagious. From the post office, we stamp, delivered late, less when your bell rings twice. Lists can pull time into manners. Interview with the notebook, imagined, honest. Who writes you? Anyone who notices, plus the building when nobody does. Mistakes. I prefer edits to declarations. Graphite forgives. What do you want? Rooms that remember the right things. Names are hooks for gentle memory. How to begin a visitor notebook elsewhere. Find a small table where doors hesitate. Place a bell that enjoys 2 notes. Add a pencil that likes erasers. Write 3 true lines. Do not explain. Wait. Rooms will begin to behave. People will return to see themselves remembered without resumes. Week 3. Names grow familiar. Monday, seeing Eleanor Price, left courtesy, made me gloomily hopeful. Courtesy arrived in unusual outfits. Tuesday, Marina Holloway, placed a chair earlier than trouble. Taught us to move furniture before drama auditions. Wednesday, Tom Aldridge, sent steam, no cup, allowed steam to count as a guest. Thursday, Anna Whitmore, loaned silence. Proved librarians fix volume like mechanics. Friday, David Blackwood, lowered a door. Replaced a complaint with gratitude that tasted better. Saturday, elevator, paused. Became the common line, shoes improved. Sunday, person who meant well, left without needing instructions, made me trust strangers again. 17 sentences that sound better beside the book. I was wrong. I will wait. After you. Thank you, David. Good to see you, Anna. Tom, tea without sugar. Marina, I have time. Ring twice. Return when ready. I will not narrate this. The chair can stay. I will carry that. Let us move the mat together. I will count the steps slowly. I will read notices and return the pins. I forgive you. I will erase earlier today. Epilogue, leaving and returning. I left Cedar Lane for a week to help a cousin on a street with different jokes. When I returned, our book had grown pages with my absence in them. You, while away, were visited by this stare. We waited without sulking. I touched the table as people touch a car that has never failed them. The bell rang twice because it likes greetings that come home without parades. Final tag. Hospitality, log gently. Supplement, longer scenes, quiet manuals, and a day of many small names. A morning that filled quickly. The page gathered short lines as if a choir had learned to whisper in canon. Newspapers, arrived folded, edges behaved. Umbrella, closed before entering. Rain waited outside like a polite guest. Backpack, stopped being a battering ram. Chose the hip, not the elbow. Footsteps, picked carpet over echo, the hall exhaled. Breath, waited at the door, came in with consent. Eye contact, arrived without interrogation, left without trophies. Apology, visited without a speech, stayed for tea. Gratitude, washed a cup, left it upside down to dry. By noon, the landing felt like a lounge for correct small actions. We called it home. Letter to future volunteers. If you write like someone who trusts tomorrow. Keep lines short and verbs kind. Use dashes, not arrows. Arrows pretend to be emergencies. List ordinary things. The dramatic already keeps a ledger. If someone insists on capital letters for their name, give them small ones for their verb. If a mistake lands on the page, let the eraser work slowly. If your hand shakes, let it. Hands are weather. When the page argued with me, I tried to remove a line that embarrassed me. Narrator, ignored a knock, decided later was enough. The book restored it politely. The bell rang once, then added its second note, like a diagram of conversation. I left the line. The next day the book wrote, narrator, answered on the first ring, warmed the air. Self-praise felt wrong. Erasing the lesson felt worse. A visit from a skeptical friend. A friend from a block without notebooks called us bureaucrats. I let them read a few pages, then we sat for the length of tea. The book wrote, skeptical friend, sad, learned to lower shoulders. My friend laughed, promised a pencil for their building, and left a flower with no note. The page wrote, flower, did its job, asked for water like an adult. The night the lines almost rhymed. Once, at night, the lines arranged themselves into near rhyme. Ring twice, then wait. Let doors negotiate. List what is small. Do not audition for fate. We return to prose by morning. Poetry makes rooms self-conscious. Prose lets rooms behave. Days without names. Sometimes the page stays blank and the bell rests. On those days I draft in my head. No one came. The stare enjoyed air. Nothing happened. We were safe. Blank is not neglect. It is the room paying its bills on time. Instructions for children who want to help. Write what you see, not what you hope. If you hope for dragons, draw one in the margin and label it temporary. Do not move the chair labeled please. Clean the pencil with your sleeve only if your sleeve already plans to be washed. Ring twice. Wait. Smiling is allowed if it does not make you louder. Privacy and names. We use first names or kinds of names. Delivery, neighbor, singer, quiet. No addresses, no gossip. The building is a friend, not a witness for prosecution. Practices that help the page. Count breaths between rings. Aim pencils at verbs. Erase without theater. Sit sometimes. Walk slower near the table. Let the landing teach you its pitch. If the elevator opens at the wrong floor, treat it as curiosity, not betrayal. Read Willowbrook's Board once a day. Return borrowed chairs. Put the flower in water. Closing supplement. The visitor notebook is a way to say, we saw you. Even when seeing is a matter of air, noise, chairs, and promises. It prevents the neighborhood from becoming a place where only drama leaves footprints. It lets pencil praise us for not needing a trumpet. If you borrow this practice for your building or your counter, remember our only rule: ring twice. Then wait. Then write small truths a room can carry without bending. Extended log, 4th week, when the list became weather. Entry 16, Monday, just after dawn. The pencil's patience. The pencil had become short from work. I placed a fresh one beside it and wrote, new pencil, joined without fanfare, promised erasures. The page looked relieved, the way a street looks when a bus kneels at the curb without being asked. I sharpened the old pencil and taped it to the inside cover with a note, for small hands. Entry 17, Tuesday, morning rain, the stairs memory. I walked slowly, counting the steps because Cedar Lane stairs enjoy being counted. At the landing, the page had already written itself. Step 17, remembered to be kind. Shoes thanked quietly. I did not correct the personification. Some pieces of wood have known our feet longer than we have. Entry 18, Wednesday, early. The visitor we hoped for and did not see. We had been waiting for a resolve to a small feud that had shrunk our hallway. The page wrote, apology, walked by, left courage, will return on time. We did not force it. Marina at the night pharmacy later reported that receipts printed pause with a calmer font. Courage had done rounds. Entry 19, Thursday, between deliveries. Tom's steam again. Tom carried a cup with no cup in it, the way steam attends rooms that earned it. He wrote, steam, visited, let chair be a teacher. The steam fogged the top left corner of the page. Later that blot dried into a shape that resembled a bell in mid-breath. Entry 20, Friday, after market, names that felt like tools. Window, allowed itself to be cleaned without becoming self-important. Mat, caught water, not shoes. Mail slot, practiced discretion. Doorknob, learned to be a round friend, not a temptation. Hinge, sang less, the tune improved. I added, broom, learned to talk under breath. David wrote, good broom. Entry 21, Saturday, afternoon, class visits. Anna brought a small group from the library for a field trip and citizenship. She said, the city has homework. This is one page of it. The children wrote lines with excellent verbs. Child, asked how to help, wrote what they saw. Another child, drew a chair, labeled it public. A third child, wrote, waited, smiled like a person who knew they had done a large thing very small. We set out water. The bell had never sounded so proud while still refusing to become a gavel. Entry 22, Sunday, before sunrise. The page remembers the absent. The book opened by itself and wrote, Mr. Hanley, still away. Our stare missed his careful shoes. I do not know Mr. Hanley well. He walks like a person who auditions only for kindness. The book sometimes logs absence like weather. It helps grief behave. Entry 23, Monday, noon. The skeptical inspector. A building inspector visited with a checklist that wore a tie. He eyed the notebook and said, is this official? David said, it is effective, and showed the lines about hinges and mats. The inspector stood for a while, then wrote, Inspector, considered, learned a better category. He left with a gentler clipboard. Entry 24, Tuesday, late afternoon. The hotel sends a guest. Celia from the hotel guided a traveler to our landing. The traveler had misdirected a letter and wanted to apologize to the wrong address correctly. The book wrote, Traveler, Asked permission, rang twice, returned a letter to gravity. We logged the letter as if it were a person. Letter, reached correct hand, forgave being lost. We are generous to paper in this neighborhood. Entry 25, Wednesday, near dusk, the elevator's letter. A small card wedged in the elevator frame read, "Your wait is not a waste." The book copied it by writing, "Elevator, practice patience, passengers practiced with it." I rode up with a person who usually behaves like an urgent memo and watched them adapt to being human at a moderate speed. Entry 26, Thursday, noon, hospitality travels. I visited a friend on a block without notebooks and wrote their first 3 lines on a folded index card. We rang twice on their hallway wall. The room adopted the habit with the ease of a coat that already fit. I returned to Cedar Lane and the page had written, "You exported a practice, imported a breath." Entry 27, Friday, evening, when names braided. The list braided visitors into short couples. Tom and Marina exchanged steam and pause. Anna and David traded neatness and oil. Celia and the elevator rehearsed courtesy. The post office stamp and quiet edited a conversation together. Names are neighbors more than nouns. The book understands in ways I keep learning. Entry 28, Saturday, late night, the midnight pencil. I could not sleep. The pencil looked awake. The book wrote while I waited. You did not try to fix the night, kept it company. I made tea without sugar and allowed the dark to act like weather, not a verdict. Entry 29, Sunday, early, a gracious refusal. A person tried to stage themselves with a speech near the table. The book wrote, performance, came, refused entry, returned as patience. I admired the refusal. List can be doors. Entry 30, Monday, dawn, the apology arrives. The feud that had made our hall smaller approached like rain, deciding to be gentle. 2 names appeared on the same line, not touching, separated by a dash and a breath. Lucy and Peter paused, apologized without choreography. The landing seemed taller by a small but measurable amount. I added a dot beside the line as if pinning a thank you. Manual: how to host a neighborhood meeting without injuring time. 1. Place the notebook on the table where eyes can rest on it. 2. Start with a plain cup, whether tea or water. 3. Read 3 lines from recent days. 4. Name chairs before topics. 5. Use pencils. Pens make threats by accident. 6. Keep verbs short. 7. Adjourn when sentences grow long in the wrong places. 8. Ring twice at the end as a promise to try. Profiles: the people the book names often. Anna Whitmore, librarian, carries silence like a well-sewn pocket. Her handwriting improves other people's pens. Teaches list etiquette, verbs first. David Blackwood, superintendent, translates squeaks into policies. Treats hinges like shy colleagues. Writes in block letters when danger needs to feel held, otherwise in neat script. Tom Aldridge, barista, believes steam is a guest with rights. Wipes the counter in circles to calm water. Writes advice on napkins that become artifacts. Marina Holloway, night pharmacist, files receipts under pauses, assorted. Places a chair before trouble. Speaks 3 languages plus an accent called reassurance. Celia Hart, hotel clerk, keeps a sleeve labeled for guests who return without a reservation. Trains the elevator to act like a host. The bell, 2 notes, never 3. Refuses careers and justice. Employed by consent. The pencil, loyal to graphite. Loves erasers. Dislikes laws. Prefers lists for weather and chairs. 17 reminders the book has taught me. Begin plain, continue kind. Names are hooks, verbs are bridges. 2 rings, then wait. Erasers apologize without speeches. Sit before deciding. Use often, not always. Let the window supervise your tone. Respect step 17. Do not promote sugar to royalty. Return borrowed pins. Move mats into usefulness. Let the elevator set the pace. Stamp more slowly. Let steam be a visitor. Do not narrate your kindness. Write small truths that rooms can carry. A list can be a chair. Casebook, polite errors and their repairs. Polite error 1, writing in capital letters out of zeal. Repair, breathe. Rewrite in lowercase. Capital letters can return for emergencies. Polite error 2, logging a person without permission. Repair, replace the name with a kind noun. Neighbor, visitor, friend. Keep the verb. Polite error 3, ranking lines by importance. Repair, reorder by the calendar's humility. Or leave as is. The point is verbs, not trophies. Polite error 4, turning the book into a sermon. Repair, add 3 very ordinary lines. Mat, caught water. Door, closed softly. Someone, washed a cup. Polite error 5, erasing someone else's relief. Repair, stop. Write your own discomfort on the back page. Leave their relief intact. Books are not courts. Field recordings, what the hallway hears. Soft shoes, a thank you that never auditioned. A stroller negotiating a turn without commentary. A hand on the banister the way a friend might be greeted. Paper setting down. A pencil deciding between 2 words and choosing the kinder. The bell's second note. Steam as grammar. The elevator's exhale. Rain that does not argue with glass. A hinge pretending not to perform and succeeding. A letter to the post office stamp. Dear circle that says, delivered late. Our book has learned your tone. Sometimes we log thank you from years ago and feel the room straighten as if time had tried our method. If you visit, bring your lightest ink. We will seat you near the bell that refuses to be a judge. With gratitude. The landing at Cedar Lane. A visit to the river with the book. I carried the notebook to the river, which was in the mood to be a page. I did not write near water because pages dislike drama. When I returned, the book had written, River, hosted us, preferred us without pens. We obeyed. We drank tea without sugar on a bench and let the city write in footsteps. Extended vignettes, days that deserved longer lines. The late return. A woman came to apologize for years of avoiding our stare because her feet remembered a fall. She stood near the table, rang twice, and cried without needing a crowd. The book wrote, return, arrived, asked for forgiveness, received it quietly. She left a small ribbon on the chair. We did not ask for a story. The ribbon told us enough. The parcel symphony. 5 boxes arrived at once and argued about their destinations like notes in search of a chord. Peter sorted them by angles rather than names. The chord found itself. The book wrote, boxes, learned harmony. Peter conducted with humility. The hallway hummed for an hour, then forgot to brag. The elevator's holiday. The elevator broke in a calm way and asked for stairs to volunteer. David posted a polite sign that said, thank you, knees. The book wrote, elevator, took a day off, gratitude increased by steps. We survived. We admired each other's breathing like a practical symphony. The mirror experiment. Someone left a mirror by the table. It almost learned to be a witness before the book wrote. Mirror, not hired, privacy preferred. David relocated it to the laundry room, where mirrors earn their keep without nosiness. Manual, hosting difficult moments without making them famous. 1. Reduce audience. 2. Offer a chair. 3. Point to the bell and ring twice yourself if voices climb a ladder. 4. Ask for someone's first name and write it carefully. The act slows heat. 5. Afterward, log verbs, not drama. 6. Erase anything that feels like a trophy for pain. 7. Make tea without sugar. Drink it together or apart. 17 polite experiments we tried. Write a line using only verbs. It worked. Write a line for a dog. It wagged and left. Log the weather's apology for wind. Chairs forgave. Let the child write first. The room smiled. Let the elder write last. The room bowed. Place the pencil on the left. Left-handed neighbors thanked us. Set out 2 pencils. Arguments over pencils ended. Count breaths between entries. Lines preferred the pace. Place a flower. Leave it unnamed. People watered it anyway. Hang the book on a string. It swung like a gentle metronome. Entries improved. Place the book flat. Entries multiplied. Swinging is not for every day. Invite the post office clerk. Stamp not used. Ink still felt present. Invite the tram driver. Ramp practice improved without rehearsal. Add a blank page labeled not yet. Promises landed there, safe. Write, please, smaller. It became more powerful. Write, thank you, often. It did not become cheap. Write nothing. Watch the hall perform kindness unprompted. Coda, what I will do if I move away. I will carry a small bell in my pocket to ring in my chest. I will place a notebook by a door that hesitates, even if the door opens into a studio with 1 pair of shoes. I will write 3 lines. Chair. Waited. Carried me without theater. Window. Supervised my volume. Quiet. Visited. left instructions. Then I will run errands like a neighbor and return without a speech. Final addendum, the book's own line. It happened once, when we forgot to close it. In small, steady handwriting that matched no one, yet felt like all of us, the book wrote, "Notebook, served, learned, will keep the door for you." We closed it gently and rang twice as thanks. Seasonal pages, early autumn lessons. Entry 31, Tuesday, early autumn, weather registers again. Leaves rehearsed their exits on Ashford Street. The book wrote, "Leaf, entered on someone's coat, left on the mat with dignity." I wrote, "Broom, welcomed leaf, taught it to travel without crunching." The hallway smelled like wool and relief. Entry 32, Wednesday, midday. The parcel for no one. A small box addressed to future neighbor sat on the table. Inside, a pencil, a bell clapper, and a card that read, "Start here." The book wrote, "Future neighbor, welcomed in advance. Our names look forward to meeting yours." We sealed the box and left it for the day that deserves it. Entry 33, Thursday, dusk. A rehearsal of departures. A tenant moved away, carrying the kind of silence that keeps keys company. The book wrote, "Farewell," signed without spectacle, left a map for kindness. We rang twice for the empty door. Empty doors are still doors. Entry 34, Friday, after tea. The second cup. Tom visited and set a second cup on the table. "First plain at the cafe," he said. "Second sweet for your landing." The book wrote, "Sweetness, arrived later, behaved." The bell's two notes learned a small harmony, and nobody tried to hire them. Entry 35, Saturday, evening. A visit from music. A violinist paused at our window and tuned to the stairs note. The book wrote, "Music, checked in, left the air tuned." We did not applaud. We let the echo keep the receipt. Entry 36, Sunday, sunrise. The quietest entry. No lines wrote themselves for an hour. Then, in faint pencil, nothing. Visited, everything behaved. We admired the sentence for longer than we needed and did not feel wasteful. 17 gentle closings we practice. Close the book with a hand that prefers circles. Wipe the table as if it were telling the truth. Check the pencil. Offer a cousin if it is tired. Ring the bell once for arrival, once for consent. Touch the doorframe chalk. Renew the dot if rain ate it. Look down the stairs and hope for step 17's cooperation. Glance at the mat. Encourage usefulness. Address the window like a colleague. Thank the hinge silently. Remember names are hooks. Do not fish. Remember verbs are bridges. Cross gently. Let the elevator choose the tempo. Erase without shame. Sit before adding sugar to sentences. Return chairs to their neutral. Say good night, even in daylight. Leave the room better than your pride. Epilogue, longer, why I keep writing. I keep writing because the book teaches me to narrate without conquest. Because hospitality gets lost under headlines and then finds itself here, in graphite and breath. Because I have seen a door forget to be a judge. Because I have watched a child label a dragon temporary and mean it. Because the tram bell learned to speak utility instead of tragedy. Because the night pharmacy prints pause on days with traffic. Because the hotel elevator behaves like a host when asked politely and also when not. Because the post office stamp delivered late has less work when we begin our mornings plain. Because names appear for people I never saw, and yet I recognize the verbs the way a neighbor recognizes your laugh around a corner. If you inherit this notebook after I move, keep the verbs short, the pencil humble, the bell employed, and the chairs honest. If you find my name, forgive whatever I was rehearsing. Write your own line beside mine, and allow the page to host both of us without speeches. Final tag, again. Ring twice. Write small. Let rooms remember.